How you doing, Morgan?
I'm all right. How are you, SP?
I'm here. And then we have Krum in the building. I'm so excited.
What up?
You don't know how excited I am to have you in here in the building with us. I am so serious. I have been a fan from Dart on. Dart is when I discovered you. When I discovered your music. So, yay!
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
All right, Nev just popped in. I'm gonna bring him up. Nev, what's happening? Rup, he'll join us when he can. So I'm just going to start off with how we normally start off with where you're from and how does that impact the way that you make music?
Yeah, so I'm from Texas. I live specifically in Dallas, and I don't know. I don't think like it's I make like cliche, Texas music, especially hip hop when you think of like, that. But Dallas is a really soulful city. You know what I mean? Like there's SP, you know that. Like
Uh-huh.
there's just a lot of soul here. There's a lot of I mean, obviously hip hop, but like even, blues has a really deep root here as well. So that stuff definitely affects me. And kind of, just my approach to it and just I think the way I look at music, and I feel like I'm a pretty soulful dude. And I think that a lot of that comes from where I live.
All right. So before you were Crumb, you were Plato.
Hmm.
Is there any significance to either name?
Well, Krum is my real name.
Huh.
So yeah, so that's like just an easy thing, keep it real, like just, and it sounds cool. People have always told me my whole life, like, what a cool name. So I figured to keep it nice and easy and just yeah, so that's my name. So a lot of significance there.
So, like, did you change it just because it was going to be easier? Like, what did you not like the Play-Doh anymore?
No,
Or?
it's a whole thing. I gotta be mindful how I normally don't talk about it, to be honest with you. So it's like a just, obviously there's Play-Doh exists, right? Like a company.
You know what? Nah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So that started to become a thing, and so yeah, I had to make a decision. So yeah, so I was like, let me go with my name.
Right. And so, like, back then you were part of two groups, right? So D Space, is it D Space 5 and Ill Harmonics, right? I'll make sure I'm saying it right.
Yep, that's right.
Like, are there pros and cons to being like, what would the pros and cons be being in a group versus solo?
Well, one of the cool things about being in a group is it's the workload isn't that tough, right? Like everything is like cut in half. So you can have different people have different responsibilities within the group. Um, and then even just musically, like it's way easier to just write a 16 bar verse as opposed to being a solo artist and you got to do the hooks and the verses and
Right.
the bridges and the whole nine. So um and then the pros too are like getting to tour with your homies, right? And hit the road and be with people that you love and inspire you and are dope musically and make you better,
Right.
so
Yeah.
so Ill Harmonics was a crew that I was in. I think we put out our first album in like 2001, and then I think we ended that around like '05. But Deep Space 5 is more like not to nitpick, but I think it makes more sense when you think of it like a collective. You know what I mean? So it's like it's other solo MCs, it's other groups, and then we all come together and make music as Deep Space 5. So I'm still in Deep Space 5. So those are those are my brothers. Those are my great friends. So yeah, I'm still in Deep Space Five.
So, who's some of your musical influence? I mean, inside, in and outside of hip hop.
Hip hop would be. I really love like thinking of being an influence of like when I was growing up, right? So um I love the Soul Assassin stuff. So pretty much anything that DJ Muggs touched was so influential to me. Just the timing, and I was a teenager, and like it was the perfect timing for it. Um, and then as I grew older, I started to really gravitate more towards MCs who I felt like were like lyricists. Like I don't want to just listen to hip hop because it's hip hop. Like I'm really trying to hear the writing and the rhyming and the wordsmith flipping this and whatever, the little magic trick. So in that regard, I mean, it's got to be like, I mean, Black Thought is just untouchable. Pharoah Monch, Mos Def, um, and then I really like De La stuff, especially when they were working with Prince Paul. Like Prince Paul really, his vibe just clicked with me as far as like his little skits and the way he would sample like a kid's record.
Mhm.
Not a lot of people were doing that, and so that influence stuck with me too. So Prince Paul's big, but yeah, Tribe, the Roots, all the greats. Those were as far as hip hop goes. As far as other music, I would say I love blues music. Lightning Hopkins is like my favorite blues artist, and he's from Texas, so got to go with the home team on that one. And then I like a lot of gospel stuff too. I like old gospel, not like you know current gospel or whatever. Like black and white gospel, right? Like old stuff, like Shirley Caesar is amazing. Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Um, I really love Reverend Blind Gary Davis. It's kind of a long name, but just that type of stuff. I love that stuff. Just to me, that's almost just like blues, right? Like blues and old gospel is kind of the same thing. And so I like being able to go back to the original of like where rock and roll came from. You know what I mean? That was rock before rock was rock. So yeah, just stuff like that.
And you do production work too, right? So like, um, do you like you find a lot of do you do samples, or like how do you go about making beats or doing your production?
Yeah, so I'm a producer as well. So my favorite way to produce is definitely to sample. Um, can't always do that depending on what you want to do with the release. So you got to get creative, or if you do sample, you gotta still find a way to flip that up before it gets released. So you may have to replay it, with musicians or whatever to make it work. But my preference is definitely samples. So I love sampling. Um, Making beats is like my favorite thing to do, just period. So like I don't get to do it as often as I like, just because it's pretty nuanced for me. Like I'm not that dude that's making beats to like get this commercial or get a placement here. Like it's something that I love to do. So I just do it how I like to do it, regardless of what's going to happen with it. So that's sampling, and so a lot of that stuff I can't use in big ways just
Hmm.
because of samples. So, um, but that's my favorite thing to do. It's not the most lucrative, just because, like I said, I can't always get it into these big places because of how I make it. Um, but it's the most fun for me, for sure. Just
You
to
still get that expression out, that creative expression.
so
That's
fun, yes. And the cool thing about sampling is, um, and I still use an MPC 2000, which is, any producer knows, that's like ancient. So, but I love it. I love that it kind of limits me with what I can do, especially with what we can do now. And I feel like that makes me more creative, and it allows me to push the boundaries more and make the most out of what I have. So that being the case, it also takes really long time to make a beat. So like probably average is probably like 4 or 5 hours to make a beat from like start to finish. And then from there, I use Pro Tools and stuff that's a little more current to do what I need to do these days. But yeah, I love producing, and what's cool about sampling, I don't really know what it's going to sound like when I'm starting, because it's really dictated by the samples that I find. So it's really just a fun process from start to finish, right? Like at first you're just listening to records to find the right sample, then you find something that you like, and then you start to chop it up, and may not work, or it may work, or maybe it sounds whack, and I bring the record back to find something else. And as I'm bringing the record back, I hear what it sounds like in reverse, and I'm like, ooh, I need to sample this in reverse. So it's just fun just the whole process for me is really fun.
So that's what kind of drew me to you from the start. When I heard the album, I heard the production, and I was like, oh shit, this is not like all the production I've been hearing lately. It was special. It drew me in. And then I heard the lyrics, and I was like, oh shit, what the hell is going what the hell is going on right now? So when I listened to your album, I thought for sure, because I'm very good at tuning out whichever part I'm not ready to hear right now. So I can tune out the lyrics and just listen to the production. And so when I put the lyrics with the production, I was like, okay, what am I listening to right now? Because the production was so gritty, but the lyrics were the total opposite, which was an odd combination, but it was so appealing, and um it was so different. It was especially different knowing that you are from Texas. So how was it for you coming up in the hip hop scene in Texas?
Um, it was cool, but it was definitely weird at times. It was everybody has their thoughts of what it means when you're from Texas, and a lot of times it's just super cliche. Um, cowboy hats and boots and horses, and and I never see that stuff. Like I live in the city, right? So I never see that stuff. Um, so yeah, part of it was kind of weird, but I also find there's a really cool, like a cool shtick that like Texans have, to where like I think people look at Texans as just like wild, like Texans are wild, right? And so I think that's a cool cliche that comes with it. And I know sometimes when I would tour with other bands or hip hop acts, they would specifically, like as the tour was like winding up, they'd be like, "Yo, man, I got to keep it real. I was really nervous to go on this tour with you because then Texas boys are wild. I didn't know what to expect. I was thinking it was gonna be crazy." And so that's cool. I like that. But yeah, Texas has been good to me. It is a weird place. These days it's getting weirder and weirder in Texas. I feel like Governor Abbott is like trying to kill us, man. Like, but that's maybe another discussion for another day. But yeah, Texas is cool. I love it. It does break my heart sometimes though.
Yeah, you don't even want to get me started on our legislature right now.
Yeah.
We'll do a whole 2 hours just talking mad crazy about that.
Yeah.
But I think people have this fallacy that we're all just wild and crazy and slow,
Mhm.
when actually we probably some of the most laid back people ever. Now,
Yeah,
once
sure.
we mad, but most of the time we laugh before we get mad.
I relate to that. I'm definitely a chill person,
Hmm.
and people bring that up all the time to me, so it must be something that's noticeable. Um, Yeah, I just fall back. I play my role. Um, even a fool seems wise when he keeps his mouth shut. So I fall back, let everybody else do what they do, and wait until it's my time.
Smart move. Uh, you mentioned touring. You just did a show not too long ago, right? A local one,
Yeah,
and that
couple.
was right. And I think I read because I think I saw it on your Instagram or Twitter or something. But you haven't done anything for almost 2 years. Is that right? Too? How was that for you? What was it like? How did it feel to get back up there?
It felt like there was a missing piece of my heart that got put back where it needs to go. Like there was a few times I had to kind of turn my head and just like take a deep breath because I started to get emotional. Like there's no feeling like rocking live and looking into the crowd and you say a punchline or whatever it is, man, just you know a climax of the song or something, but a moment where you can tell these people are feeling it and they make the scrunch face or
Mm-hmm.
the snake face, whatever they do to let you know like this just connected with them. um and then getting to meet everybody afterwards and slap everybody's hand and say what's up and they tell you what they liked. And a lot of times even that is the time that I get to meet fans. So it's people who have been longtime fans. So that's the moment they get to tell me what they liked and when they got this album and how it meant this to them and just all the things, right? So it's even more than just the performance. It's just that connect that you get to make with people one on one. And that just can't be replaced. It can't be replaced. And I missed it so bad. And I knew I missed it, but until I was like on stage, like experiencing it, it hit me in such a heavy, like tangible way. It was so dope.
I'm sure. Do you have like a favorite or like weirdest fan moment like that you like someone's come up and done just something totally crazy, or maybe just your favorite like a favorite fanning moment?
Um, a favorite would be tough because there's a lot of cool moments in different ways, right? Depending on what they say. Weird moments. I've definitely had some people like stalk my family
Oh,
and
oh
like
no.
do some weird stuff that like was like, whoa, what? Like this is happening to my family, right? So like my sisters would call me or my parents and like some crazy stuff. So I won't go too much into that, but that definitely was scary and weird. But yeah, lots of good moments and just um, getting to do crazy stuff, right? Like I remember doing a show one time and dude had a prosthetic leg, and at the at the merch table he just popped it off and was like, hey, can you sign my leg? So he hit it up, so that was cool. But that was more like a funny moment. There's a lot of moments where it's like really heartfelt stuff, you know what I mean? Like where people tell you about this got me through this time or this was this, and you can't even expect something like that because it's just so personal to them. So I treasure those. There's a lot of those. I call my fans like that, I call them my road dogs. Because they really are, man. They hold me down. I always say road dogs run this. um so I have a really cool relationship with fans like that. I try to send out the email blasts and like be personal, and I always ask them to hit me back, and I don't want it to just be a one-way street. So yeah, meeting fans and just relationship with people that dig my music is important to me.
So, before you started making music, what were you doing?
SP, I've been doing music forever. Like, so I was 12 years old when I first started writing raps. And then I was 14 years old when I first had my little crew with my homies, locally, that we
Hmm.
went to the studio and actually like, recorded. Um, I never looked back. I never really like decided to do music or to do hip hop. I just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it, and I got love for it. Um, so I just kept doing it. It makes me happy. Um, so yeah, I don't have any plans to not do it. I just keep making music. It's what I need.
So, it wasn't a personal decision to just decide to do it professionally, it was just in you to take it to that level?
I just kept getting looks. I kept getting good looks that would put me on a platform, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so eventually, when I was in Ilharmonics, we had just started out. Like, I was a teenager. We barely had like a 4-track demo, and one of my friends in California had it, and he just slid it to these people at MTV who were doing this show. It was just starting. It was called The Cut. It was basically like American Idol, but back in the day. And so there would, like, you would come perform, and then they would have celebrity judges. So anyway, he slid our demo to them, and they liked it, and so they flew us out to audition, and we made it on the show. So, like, right away, you know what I'm saying, I was on MTV performing on this show, and we won. Went to the next one, we won that, we kept going, we made it all the way to the finals. And so I didn't really have a choice, you know what I mean? I kind of got those good looks, and it just kind of led to that, and so I just kept rocking with it.
So what was you mentioned you had been writing lyrics since you were 12. So what song or album was it that made you think, "Oh, I think I can do this"?
Yeah, that's a cool question. I think the one that made me, like, put the pen to the paper was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Mm.
I want to say He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper was already out, but for whatever reason, I was really feeling Rock the House, which was the one before that. So yeah, the timing of that was just so perfect with, like, where I was at, just as a kid, you know what I mean? And then seeing how that was blowing up,
Mm-hmm.
kind of let you know, like, all right, there's something to this. This isn't going to be such a quick flash in the pan like everybody's saying. Like, I can see this taking over the world. And you know, hip hop makes you feel so cool. I felt cool rapping, so that was a big part of it.
So what made you want to produce?
Man, so I would go to Guitar Center, and I would just see the MPCs there, and they just looked so dope. They looked so dope. And so I remember taking the little brochure and taking that home and, like, putting that up on my wall as, like, a goal. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew at the time that was a standard, you know, machine that everybody was using. But then, you know, as I was just trying to figure out life, and you meet this person who
Mm-hmm.
they do hip hop. You meet this dude, he's an MC. This dude over here, he's a producer. Well, I got to have beats, right? If I'm going to be rhyming. So you find the dude that has the gear to produce, and just start working with him. And I remember seeing that first guy that I was working with, he had an Ensoniq keyboard, and he was sampling, and just watching him kind of do it in front of me was so crazy, because it was like, it sounded so legit. You know what I mean? Like, it sounded like what I was listening to, but here I was watching him make it in front of me. And so I was just kind of learning, like, oh man, it's that easy. Like, it's really already
Mm-hmm.
that. So, so then I started to, like, bring him samples of things that I would find that I wanted to sample, and he would sample it. And so I just started to kind of see that from him, and I learned it. And then, I also, you know, back when I was really young trying to rap, and again, I needed beats. So I would do what's called the pause dub mix to make beats for me. I thought I invented that. No one showed me how to do that. I thought it was like something I came up with. And then as I got older, I learned that that's a thing that a lot of people did. But so I already kind of had my mind around, like, looping stuff, and, you know, finding the section that I like and multiplying that 1,000 times to make it be 3.5 minutes for a song. So it kind of came natural. I just needed to, like, see the right things and get a little peek behind the curtain, and then that's all she wrote for me.
Where am I gonna put that? I think you talk about Bandcamp a lot on your socials, and you release stuff through there. Like, what are your thoughts on like the streaming era, like the whole thing about streaming, the profits on it, the um just the whole ordeal with that?
It's tough. Streaming is tough to make a living at it, right? Like, so it's awesome because it's easily accessible. You can just tell somebody really quick, like, yeah, I'm on Spotify. Cool. And then they just go find it, right? So it's easy. So that's cool. And so on that side of things, it's great, right? Like I make my music because I want people to hear it. So I don't make my music for money. Money's super dope, but I'm not doing it for that, right? So I want people to hear it. So if that's the case, then that's probably the best thing I could ask for, right? Is hopefully that it gets on somebody's algorithm in the right way to where when they're done listening to an album that they like, if they like my style of music, hopefully my song comes on after that, right? And they just
Right.
are like, who's this guy? So it's really cool in that regards. But yes, it's frustrating too to see like how much money you make off of it and be like, dang, like that I poured all of this into that song and it's not even worth a penny, like 1 penny. That's tough, man. So that's why I push Bandcamp hard, because Bandcamp is so dope. They're so good to artists, the way that they let us do everything. They've given us every tool that we need to make it fresh. And then they're still growing and they're still trying new things. And the pandemic hit and they started doing Bandcamp Friday for artists, to where they don't take any money at all. All the money goes to the artist. It's crazy. So I love Bandcamp. I love even the quality of music on Bandcamp. Like, you can listen to WAV files. And so if you get nerdy on the quality, it sounds great on Bandcamp. Music on Spotify sounds horrible. So I know there's different streaming platforms that have different, like, bit rates and stuff that they use for the
Facts.
yeah, Spotify is booty as far as the quality goes. Bandcamp is really, really dope.
No, they're booty all around, Krum. Don't clean it up. They're booty all around.
But Bandcamp is great. Bandcamp has been really good to me. So yeah, I'll continue to push stuff on Bandcamp, because not only can you do music on Bandcamp, but you can do a merch package, and you can do it like everything all together. So it's literally all you need in one place. It's amazing.
Right. I just copped art yesterday, and I was super disappointed because there's a book with it and it is sold out.
Yeah.
Are you gonna put out any more ever?
I mean, I already did two separate months.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean,
he might have one left in the stash, Morgan, for the right price, and he might autograph it for you for the right price, allegedly.
It's the book was, I knew it would sell out, and to me, I didn't expect to do another run of it, but I saw the demand, so I did it. And then when that sold out, I was like, okay, like that's way more than I could have expected, and I wanted it to be something really special. Like, so that's why it's not an ebook on Amazon or anything. Right. It's like you could only get it from me, physical copy. I thought that was cool, and I thought it was something that nobody had done before.
Right.
So I just wanted to try it. I mean, it was an idea that I had, and I thought, man, ain't nothing to it but to do it. So let me at least give it a shot.
I was going to ask you, like, where that whole, so like, I mean, just the people watching will know, like, can you explain what the book is and the correlation between the album, like what those are? Yeah. So the album is called Dart. The book that was made to pair along with the album is called The Dirty Angels Ride Tonight. So essentially what happened was I was having like some Bible time with my son, where we were reading the Bible. He was reading the book of Psalms. And so I was letting him know, like, what's really cool about the book of Psalms is a lot of it was written by King David. And so there's multiple other books in the Bible where you can read about King David's life, just like third person. Like, this is the story of what happened with this dude. But what's cool about Psalms is he's writing that first person, and you can look and see some of these places over here where he's in the story. Now I get to see first person what he feels as he's living out that part of his life. And I thought that was a really cool thing to just kind of explain, like a little nugget. And as I was telling him that, I was thinking, man, that's so tight. I wonder if I could do something like that with music, and like how can I do that? So
essentially what I did is I wrote the story, The Dirty Angels Ride Tonight, and then the album is from the perspective of the characters in the book. So the book is a fictional story that I came up with, and then each song is from the character in the book, a different character, to hopefully show a little glimpse of like what they were feeling in that moment, or just a little deeper than I could do with the book. So, and it's easier said than done. It's not as cut and dry as what I'm saying, because as I'm doing the songs, it is like the first person narrative of these characters, but it's as told by me. You know what I mean? So it's not like there's a king in the story and then the song is like the king singing or whatever. It's still me like conveying what the king was feeling, if that makes sense. But yeah, I just thought nobody had done that, and I thought it was cool. And it's the scariest thing I've ever done. Like you feel so butt naked on the page writing a book. Like you feel so vulnerable. I can rhyme all day, I could write lyrics all day about personal things and whatever, but like, man, writing a book is wild, dude. Like you just feel so exposed and vulnerable, but it was well received. So I feel happy that I did that.
Will you do something like that again, you think?
I don't think so. I mean, that was such a thing. Like I didn't have any plans to do it. It was just an idea that I had. I did it because, I'm an indie artist, and that's what's dope about being an independent artist. I can do whatever I want. So I just did it. And it went well, but I'm not like a writer like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not like an author, or so who knows? I don't have plans to do it, but I think it's kind of, you can only do it once, right? I mean, I did the idea. If I did it again, it'd be like, been there, done that,
I don't know.
So is any of those books behind you one of the books?
No. Here, I got it right here though. I got
You see me and Morgan salivating over here.
I'm gonna have to go check back channels. I'm gonna have to go like
you gonna make us go to the dark web. So, because I'm such a fan of your production, when you're making a beat, what comes first? What's your process?
It's usually the sample. I'll find the right sample that I want, and then I'll start chopping it, and then I'll figure out some sort of structure. You know what I mean? Like how I want it to go, and then I usually will come up with a handful of sequences. Like I'll, in my head, it may not always work this way, but as I'm making it, I'm like, okay, this is the intro. I'm gonna flip it up a little bit for the verse here. And then, so if you listen to my stuff, I really try to change the track every 4 bars. So even though it's the verse is 16 or whatever it may be, it's not just 16 bars of the same type of music, you know what I mean, for the verse. So I try to every 4 bars make some sort of a change up. Yeah. So once I do that, and then I'll usually add drums after that. And then from there, just kind of see what it needs, depending on what type of bass line. Like, am I going to play it on the bass? Am I going to play it on the keyboard? Is it just going to be 808s and I'm just banging those out on the M piece? And then, whatever's needed from there. Do I need some keys? Do I need to start? So it'll start like with samples, and then especially on this project, because this is a really, really musical album, even for me. So there's still, even though everything is like sample based, there's a lot of live instrumentation on this project, and that's not always normal for me. I'd say what I typically do in my process is I kind of subscribe to the old school ways of like I remember De La albums, like those typically weren't coming out every year, right? Like there was like a couple years in between projects, and that's just how it used to be, before we started streaming everything and it became so disposable so fast. So I like that. I like to live life. I like to get some experiences to figure out like what to write about. So I'd say I take probably 4 years in between what I call like my official like Krum solo albums. And so obviously I can't make a living doing that. So in the in between time, I do little side projects or little things that aren't necessarily like my big release. So my bigger releases like Dart, those tend to be very musical, and it's kind of more that side of what I do. In the in betweens, that's when it'll be more like boom bap projects that won't have as much live instrumentation. It'll just be raw, um, which is what Black Lung was. That was like an in between thing for me to be able just to do that. Um, so yeah, when I'm doing the music stuff, like it'll start in samples, and then I'll just keep adding the instrumentation as needed.
So, Rubber Biscuit, I love that song. Is that the head crack on that song?
Yeah, that's my man Crack.
Oh man, that's one of my favorites. I love that song. How did you get head crack to get on that song? Because he did the damn thing on that one.
Yeah, Head Crack's my homie. We've been friends for a super long time. He actually that show I just did a couple days ago.
Hmm.
He played that show with me as well, so he was on the bill. He you know why Crack is a G? This fool, he's Head Crack, right? So he's like radio personality, TV personality, but he's such a real one. So when he lived in Dallas, he hosted an MC battle every Monday night at the Caribbean Grill, and this dude would have to get up at like 4 a.m. to do his morning show, and he would still host this battle every Monday night, stupid late, right? It would end at like 1 or 2 a.m. and man, I was signing up for that battle every week, and I won consistently, and it legit came at a time that I needed the money so bad that I would win the battle on Monday night, and Tuesday I would go to the grocery store with the money that I won the night before. And I did that for 2 years. I was the champ 2 years running at that spot. And I looked back on it, and I was just thinking about it one day, like how crazy that is that he did that, and how he literally put food on my table. And so I texted him and just kind of, had a little emotional moment, like, bro, I really appreciate what you did, blah, blah, blah. And even then, he wouldn't even like take some credit for it. And he hit me back and was like, you're the one that put that food on your table, champ. I'm like, this dude, like, is just the coolest guy nonstop. So that's how I knew him, just, coming up in Dallas. We were both battle MCs and freestyling off the top all the time. And he's one of the best off the top.
Yeah, his freestyle game is serious. I think I love to hear him and the Brat going back and forth. It is so it is so fun because they're doing it off the top of their head, and it is so dope. Um I guess for those who don't know who Head Crack is, can you talk about tell everybody about him and kind of what he does? Because he's so fire, and I don't think he gets half of the credit that he deserves.
Yeah, again, I know him from being an artist. So he's an MC. He's also in a crew called the Bodega Brothers, who are really good friends of mine. We've toured the country together, and so we go way back. But then he also is a radio personality. So he has a show. I think he took over Ricky Smiley's morning show, and
Yes.
so now it's just him. So he just has that morning show. So he's crushing it. And then he's also on Dish Nation. So he's also a TV personality as well. So this dude is on TV every day, yo. Like, it's one thing to kick it with him and be at the show and whatever, but if you go to the mall with this fool, you can't make it 5 steps without everybody stopping this dude and getting autographs and pictures and stuff. So he's a popular dude, but he's a really dope MC and a really great dude.
Yeah, in San Antonio they took the Ricky Smiley morning show off the radio, so I don't get to hear it anymore. But I love Head Crack, and I I love what he does, and he seems, when I heard him, when I used to watch him and listen to him, he seemed like a genuine individual. So I'm so glad to know that who he is as a person is what I always imagined him to be in my head.
Yeah, he's one of the realest that I've ever met.
So everybody's talking about the UGK 8 ball, the UGK 8 ball and MJG battle.
The verses.
Yeah, what did you think about that?
Man, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, for me, I think it was more so it was kind of hard to watch because Pimp C wasn't there. And so even though I gotta give kudos to Bun B because he really held it down and he made Pimp C's presence known even though he wasn't there himself. So that was dope. But you gotta watch it. You get a chance to watch it, you'll be amazed at actually how well done it was.
Yeah, I'm definitely it's on the list for sure. My homies in the group chat were all over it. I was busy doing something that night when it was on, but yeah, didn't he? From what I remember, they said like didn't he rhyme Pimp C's rhymes? Like he did his verses.
Some of them he just played his verses and backed him up like he would normally back him up in concert.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's real cool.
So it was pretty doggone dope. At least I found it was pretty damn awesome. Um so when you're doing the production and when you're doing the beats and production and you're doing the lyrics, how does that order go? Do you make the beat first and then do the lyrics? Do you do the lyrics then make the beat? How does that go for you?
Yeah, lyrics are always last for me, so I gotta the beat has to like bring it out of me, if that makes sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can sit down and write, and that's cool. But my process, what I enjoy is hearing the beat, and that brings something out of me. And just to be straight up too, that gets a little tricky for me on my own beats because like I said, making beats is so fun that sometimes when I'm making beats, I'm just making a beat because I want to make a beat. I don't know what's going to happen with it. I don't know if it's ever going to see the light of day. So I make a beat and it's cool. I like it. So I save it. And then I may send it to somebody down the road. It may just sit on my computer forever. And I don't know. And then sometimes I'll go through and I'll start picking up like some old beats and just going through them, like just, what did I make over the last 6 weeks or whatever. And that's when it kind of hits me because at that point it feels kind of brand new, because I haven't been listening to it. And that's when I'll get that feeling and I'll be like, ooh, I'm gonna go ahead and take this one for me. I'm not gonna put this one out there. So then I'll slide that to the side and start writing. Um, so it's a little tricky over my own beat sometimes because sometimes too I'll even like there'll be a beat that I love that I hear a particular artist on or something, and I'll kind of send it around and it doesn't get the response that I thought it would get. And so at that point I'll be like, well, shoot, this is going to be my beat now. That if nobody's picking this up because the beat is fire, so I'm just going to keep it for me. So kind of tricky, but it's got to really like blow me away when I'm making the beat to just immediately say, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just keep this one for me right off the bat. Like I know that this is going to be my beat. But it happens, sometimes I'm making the beat and as I'm doing it, the chorus will just hit me, as I'm working out that sequence. And if it's good, I'll be like, oh, okay, this is good. Let me remember that. And then let me work this out. And then from there, the whole idea just starts to like, once you have the hook, then everything else is easy, right? Because you got the concept and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's kind of back and forth, but it's tricky. It's easier to rhyme on other people's beats. That's for sure.
So, like, theory has it. How did that? Because you have a full collaboration album with them. So, like,
Yep.
how did that work between you guys being in two different locations? Like, how does that? How do you guys go about getting that together?
So Theory's a long time friend of mine. He's also just happens to be like one of the dopest producers out there. And so it was kind of what I was saying earlier. It was I wanted to put out a project that wasn't like a full like take years to do type thing. I needed to do something. And so I really wanted it to be something that was really raw and like even raw for me, like raw, like super, like just gross.
Mm-hmm.
And Theory's probably the most raw producer that I know. And so what I did was kind of slick a little bit. So he used to he would send out what he called a beat reel. And so once a month or every couple weeks, whatever, he's like the most prolific dude. So he would just send out like 7 songs, but he would put them together just as one MP3, and they would just kind of blend together real fast of like, hey, these 7 songs are for sale, you know, and then he would do another one in a couple weeks or whatever. And so I just had never deleted any of those. And so I had like an inbox just full of them things. So I basically, when I decided I want to rock on some raw stuff, let me get in the mood, let me figure whatever, I just started going through those Theory Has It beats, and it just made me want to write like that, right? So I just started getting busy, and then I would just record over one of those beats. I didn't know if they were probably sold at this point, you know, but I just wanted to get it out, and then I'd figure it out later. So after I'd recorded like 5 of them like that, I finally hit him up and I was like, hey, so I've actually been recording to your beats. I know I didn't ask you, or, you know, whatever, but here's the songs. Here's what they sound like. Are any of these available? And some were and some weren't. And so at that point, I just was like, yo, man, like, do you want to just work on a project together, and you do all the production, I'll do the rhymes? And he was like, yeah, no doubt. So he just kept sending me beats, and I would just pick the ones that I liked, rock over them, and then I would send him over the songs, and then he would sequence the beat differently, you know, to work with my rhymes or whatever he needed to do, and really just email back and forth on a lot of that. And then when it was time to start getting the rollout going, he flew to Texas, and we shot a video for every song where we wanted to keep it raw, so it wasn't like a video, like a music video.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally me rapping live and him playing the beat live, just in one take, and just tried to find different places around Dallas that looked cool, and just did like one single shot for each song. And we released those every Monday leading up to the album. We called it Muddy Mondays. And that album got such a crazy response. Like, people love that project. So yeah, that was a good move.
Yeah. And you know what I like is that because I listened to a couple of your mixtapes, that Bible Bus and stuff like that, and I love that you can hear well, what I love about having access to stuff like that is that you can hear your progress. And not that you know, were horrible, but like you can hear like the progression you make over the years, and then the differences between them. So like you said, that was more raw compared to, like, you know, Dart or anything that you've done before that. But like, and I love hearing that, being able to have access to hear your growth and not only just, you know, the rapping, but just your style, like finding your style, and then the production and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's cool too. And I think, again, that's one of the things that I like about being an indie artist, is I can literally just try something completely different for another project.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fun to me, you know, like I can keep rapping in my sleep. I know I'm a good rapper. It's fun, but I want more of a challenge. So I want to be a better writer, you know, like I want to grow. So I actively am working to grow in those areas. So that's cool that you noticed that. That's dope.
So when it came to an album like Black Lung, that's the first album that I listened to where I actually went and wrote down every MC who featured on that album because they were so dope.
Yeah.
Well, how did you, first of all, where are these people, and how did you how did you find them? Because I know Head Crack, but some of these people I'd never heard of before, and I felt like there is no reason why I haven't heard of these people before.
Yeah, those are all friends of mine. So everybody got a text message is how I asked them to get down. Those are just underground MCs like me, and those are dudes that I've, done a show with in the past. That's how we started a relationship, or met them on tour, or just worked on some music in the past and created some sort of a relationship out of it. But yeah, every one of those people is have a relationship with all of them, and I think the way that it worked out. So basically, that I did that album when COVID first hit. Everybody was just locked inside, right? So I really was able to just really focus on beats, which was really, I was just doing that to pass the time, right? Because we didn't know what was going on, when it was going to end. So I knew beats makes me happy, so I'm gonna make some beats.
I was gonna ask you about that, like how, like, because it infected everybody, obviously, but like for some people, like mentally, it was really, really jarring, very hit them hard, and so that you would say that making the beats was cathartic. It was a way for you to cope.
Yeah, I'm a loner. Like, I'm not that dude that's always out. So in that regards, it really, to be honest, I hope this doesn't sound weird, but in that regard, it was almost like a blessing, because I didn't have to come up with excuses to not go.
I feel you.
You know what I mean? So, but just to stay productive, right? Like, because I'm not like a couch potato type of dude. So like, I wanted to stay productive, so I was making the beats, and just I got to a point that I looked at my folder of beats, and I had so many beats. I was like, yo, I'm never gonna use all these beats as long as I live. I have to do something cool with these beats. And I've done a beat tape in the past a couple times, and those are cool, but I've done that in the past. So I wanted to try and do something different. And so I just started thinking, like, well, everybody's stuck inside. So like, let me holler at these dudes that I know are the dopest MCs that I know, and just see if they're down. And first off, see if they're down to at least listen to the beats, So yeah, so everybody said they were down to listen to the beats. I sent them the beats, and then they, picked what they wanted to rock on, and everybody really turned it around pretty quick, which is rare in this industry. Sometimes people take a long time to get you your files and stuff, but everybody did it pretty quick. And so it really was such a surprise to me that it came together so well, because I didn't put a ton of thought into it beforehand. And I'm totally like a conceptual type of dude, like, like I want to hit these steps. So for me to just kind of be willy-nilly working on a project is rare. And then it was received so well. I was so mad at myself that I just did it as like a little side project. Like, I should have got vinyl for it. I should have I should have gone for it, but I just didn't know that it was going to be so successful.
So on Hell Knows, Propaganda, and Derek Minor, which verse was Propaganda?
Propaganda's first.
Okay, I thought so. Can you tell him I would like to marry his voice?
He's that's funny you say that, because he's a really dope MC, but he's also a really, really dope spoken word artist. So
and a really dope Christian.
He is a really dope Christian who's already married. So I don't know about his voice. I don't know about that. But
Exactly.
His voice is mesmerizing.
You should listen to his music. He barely hit the tip of the iceberg on that song.
He's on my list. But I told you I wrote down every single artist that you used on this album, because I loved. There was not one that I didn't love.
That's great.
That's
I agree.
why I was crazy. I was wondering, how did you find these people? Because there was not one feature on that album that I didn't love.
Yeah, I have really dope friends.
Period.
Yeah, I got to get in your friend group.
It's the voice. It's mostly the voice. I do remember on YouTube a long time ago, I don't know if it's like 5-6 years ago, I did see a freestyle with Propaganda battling Blue in some club, and I've never seen it again. I don't know if it was deleted or whatever, but that was like one of the illest battles I ever seen. And we're going back and forth off the top of the dome, and the beats kept changing. I don't know if you ever saw that, Krum, but it was a dope battle between the two of them. Oh, you saw that?
I saw that before I knew that was Blue. So I saw it back like when they, first battled, and it wasn't until way later that I was a fan of Blue, and somebody mentioned that was him battling Blue, and I was like, that was Blue in that battle? So I had to go back and find it again.
Oh. Are there any anybody else you'd want to collaborate with? Any dream collaborations?
Oh, heck yeah. Dude.
Shout them out. We're going to put it out in the universe. You got to shout it out.
Long list. I mean, dream collabs is like Stevie Wonder would be crazy. Jack White would be amazing. Black Thought would be crazy. De La. Jeez. I could just keep going. It's basically just, music that I like. Lauryn Hill would be, it'd be insane to get a verse from Lauryn Hill.
You just you have a new single, don't you? I thought I saw it on your Instagram.
Yeah, that was just that's off of Dart, so it's not officially like a single, but that was like I want it to be a single. So I'm kind of testing the water, so I just used the live footage from the show the other day of that song just to kind of see the response and see, because it's a very weird song. But it's one of my favorites, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be a good single. So I'm just kind of, testing the waters to see what people think of it.
All right. And then I kind of touched on this a little bit before we recorded, but how do you feel about being like labeled or like as like a subcategory in hip hop as like Christian rap or gospel hip hop? Like, how does that?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. It's I don't think anybody likes to be labeled, first off. I think that when you think about like gospel rap or Christian rap or whatever you want to call it, I feel like you think of one thing, and I think my music doesn't sound like that at all. So that's another thing that makes me kind of not really. But at the end of the day, I've learned, like, because I mean, sometimes people just want a way to tie a neat little bow on it so that they can understand it or explain it to somebody else in a way that they can easily understand. So I get it in that regards. There's times where, I would do a show and somebody would come up to me afterwards and be like, bro, that was sick. Like, what is this Catholic rap? I'd be like, I mean, call it whatever you want, bro. I don't know what it's called, but it sounds like
Orthodox boombap.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just kind of learned, I guess, like, I can't trip on what people are going to label it or call it. It's not going to change the way the music sounds. So the music sounds the way it does. That's what it's going to be, regardless of a label. So I can't really have anything to do with what people label it or don't label it, right? Like that's out of my hands.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, you still have feelings about it, but I get it.
Yeah, because I wouldn't label it Christian rap. Me and Marquis were kind of we was like, I don't understand why he's under this category, because even though he has some their Bible references and religious references, this is different. This is kind of out of it's not a category you can put it in.
Mm-mm.
So the question I have then is, Krum, for somebody who hasn't heard the music before, or the uninitiated, right, or the unfamiliar, how would you describe your music or sound to that person?
So I think if I was going to describe my music in general, that might be a little tougher because, like I said, I have different vibes that I do on different projects. So one project might be super raw and boom bap hip hop, and then something like Dart is like super musical. And so I probably would have to explain it more on an album by album basis. So I would say Dart is very moody. It's very musical. I really tried to focus on it being kind of cinematic. So like even between the songs, there's just really cinematic music that's kind of tying everything together. to just keep it like a nice smooth. I don't know, just kind of hoping that people would be lifted out of themselves a little bit when they listen to it, right? And you can just it can just take you places. So I think that's one of the coolest things that music can do, but not all music can do that. So I really tried to make this a piece of music that could do that. I'd say the album that I put out with Theory Has It. It's called Here's Mud in Your Eye. That's just straight boom bap, dope beats, dope samples, MCing at like top tier level. Like I really tried to focus on the rhyming and make it where the content is there. So it's not just rapping, but there's like stuff to make you think, stuff that you're gonna miss, and you're gonna have to listen to it 5 times before you catch some of the things that I'm saying. So that's probably how I break it down if I broke down my 2 most recent projects.
Yeah, and sorry, SP. I was just gonna say the first song on Dart. I remember SP when SP told me to check it out, and we were on like a video chat together, and I'm like the way it hit the very beginning. I'm like, is that an organ? Like, because like it was so just like the way that it comes out is so it's different. It is really different, and I loved it, and the way that it just hit sonically, I couldn't wait to like get a chance to listen to it on my own and just really sit with it. So like I can see where you were going with that, and I think it came out beautifully.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's really cool.
I was sitting and talking to my friend because I played it for her because you were coming today, and she was like, I don't know why, because we watched Top Gun 2. She was like, but that would be the perfect soundtrack for one of the Top Gun movies. I was like, you're kind of right, because All Dang Sign. Um, I was expecting more of a rock verse, something rocky kind of feel to it. And when your verses came on, I was like, oh, this has to be one of the most perfect songs I've ever heard.
Sweet.
That song gets me every single time because I'm expecting, because of the name, I was expecting something kind of Christmassy, New Year's Eve party. And then when it started playing, I was like, oh, this is grimy.
Yeah.
I wonder what he gonna be talking about. And then to hear the verses, I was like, wait a minute. It just stops you kind of in your tracks. And then it is one of those albums where the beat is so fire, you have to actually think in your head, I'm not going to listen to the beat just so I can hear the verses.
That's cool. I did try to get kind of New Year's Eve-ish on that one, but definitely tried to like come in the back door and not make it like so, overtly obvious. Yeah. So, it's just basically, first off, that's from the book. So there's, I don't want to spoil the book, but there's a New Year's part in the book. And so, that's the song that they sing at New Year's, right? I flipped it up a little bit to change it a bit. But, I just thought like when's the time that you least want to be alone? It's New Year's Eve, right? Because you're supposed to kiss somebody when it's midnight. And like, so if you're alone on New Year's, you're down bad at that point, right? Like that's a bad, like you notice it. So that's why it's like, can I get a hug from someone? Can I get some love from someone? So it is kind of New Year's Eve-ish, but like, definitely not like sleigh bells and, Christmas time.
Yeah, that song gets me every single time because I've never failed to be amazed at that particular song because no matter when I hear it, and I've heard it so many times, but I always have this expectation of something, and it's always so refreshing to not get what I want from it, to get
Yes,
something even grittier than what I would have expected from that song.
I love that.
So, where do you see where do you see yourself in 5 years?
You know, I thought this, back when I first started, just trying to like, you just think of what it's gonna be, right? Like as you grow up or grow older. Um, I really am exactly where I thought that I would be. Um, and so I think I'm just gonna continue to do that. So I think that I love having a lot of musicality in the songs. Um, it's a challenge, and there's not a perfect formula for that. Like it's a lot of trial and error stuff to make that right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like doing that. So I'm definitely going to continue to do that. Um, and then rapping is just so fun. Like I can't explain it more than that. Like it's writing a verse and reading it as you're going, and it's good. Feels so good. And then when you're done going over it one last time, and just then, being able to put the spiral down and be like, I did it. It's in there. That was amazing. Like it's legit fun. Like it's the most fun thing that I've ever done in my life. Um, so I'm just gonna keep rapping, how it comes. I don't really know how. I'm gonna challenge myself musically to continue to do things that I haven't done, and be difficult. Rapping isn't difficult. I just want to continue to be a better writer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm just gonna take the rap as it comes. The rap these days for me is like when I need it, right? Like, yo, man, I sang on a couple songs. I need to rap, dog. Like, let me get these bars out. It's time for me to. So, it's like two sides, like the musicality and the musicianship is like fulfilling in a certain way, and the MCing and the rapping is like needed. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have to do that, if that makes sense. It's like I need a shot of rap like right in my arm. Like it's my life. It's the culture that I live. It's like I have to have it.
Do you play any instruments? Any live instruments?
I think if definitely not if I didn't do hip hop. So because it's hip hop, I can jump on the guitar. I can jump on the bass, the keys. But that's only because I'm doing like a 4 8 bar something. You know what I mean? So.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely have played guitar on stage before in some of my songs, but it's very simple, and I wouldn't say that I can play the guitar.
So, I know this is always a shitty question for people to ask you, but
It's a great way to start.
Damn, what a waiver! Nice
what is
waiver.
what's your favorite album and song that you've done so far?
Dart's my favorite album. I think it's always your most recent one. You know what I mean? So Dart's my favorite album that I've done. I would say favorite song is tough, man. And I'm not a good guy at picking favorites, and even when I do, like it, the next day I could feel totally different. You know what I mean? But there's a song that I did on an album called Bare Knuckle Gospel with Denmark Vesey called Nineveh. Man, I love that song. Like something about like the beat. First off, is an old gospel sample, so I already told y'all that's
Mm-hmm.
And then Denmark Vesey is one of my favorite MCs, and he just crushed the concept. So the Nineveh was like the city that Jonah was supposed to be like preaching to, or whatever you want to call it. And he dipped because he didn't want to do it. And that's the whole story where he got swallowed by the big fish and all that. So it was like a cool kind of flip on that. And so for Denmark Vesey to like nail his verse the way he did, and I found some cool ways to come in, and because how you gonna rap about Jonah and the whale? Like, it's not Veggie Tales, you know what I'm saying? So like to find a cool way to do that, I really love that. And then I think on Dart, I go back and forth each day. Some days it's Basic Living, and then some days it's Nefertiti. But I think those are my two favorite on Dart.
All right. And do you have any? Oh no, that's not what I was gonna. Actually, I was gonna ask you about because I always love hearing this. Is when you're making beats and you save them, do you name them something like? Are they kind of just whatever you're feeling in the moment? Like how do you name your beats when you save them?
Yeah, I'm notorious amongst my friends of the wild names that I name my beats. So it definitely it's something in that beat that makes me name it that, to hopefully when I'm going through beats later and I see that name, it makes me feel something to where I remember like, oh, this is that beat. So it's not something generic like, Friday. It's like something very specific, like SP, that song that Headcrack rapped on, Rubber Biscuit. I mean, that's what I named that beat. That was called Rubber Biscuit. Matter of fact, a lot of those beats on Black Lung, that's what I originally named the beat. And then the MCs just kind of took that as a concept when they saw it and just wrote to it. So Hell Knows was that way.
Okay, before you go any further, who in the hell made the biscuits?
Who made the Rubber Biscuit?
Popeyes.
Rubber Biscuits was something that I got from, there's a Blues Brothers album, and in the middle of the song, the music stops, and homie just goes like, I think he goes like Rubber Biscuits or something like that. And I just always thought like that was so tight. So that's all that is.
He was not going to tell you that his wife made any rubber biscuits or anything like that, even if that's the true story.
There's no one in my life that makes good biscuits. I'll tell you guys that.
And then actually what I was going to ask you before was what's the best advice someone's ever given you, either just personally or professionally?
So first off, I'm a weirdo. So like this probably means something to me. Other people may laugh at it.
Don't eat the rubber biscuits.
It's also very like, it can be very surfacey, but for me, it's really deep, and I always see ways that I can kind of see it. So a friend of mine is a bass player. He was on tour with me, and I forget what we were even talking about, but he said, yo, man, funky isn't what you play. Funky is what you don't play. And I was like, yo, that's the illest. And so I've applied that so much musically, in my writing. And then, like I said, just even in deeper ways, to where sometimes I can just kind of see it happening, to where it's like, it's basically like, it's not always what you do. Sometimes it's what you don't do that speaks louder. Right. So for me, that was really dope advice that stuck with me.
Nice. And
what advice would you give to somebody up and coming into the music industry, or want to be like where you are, the independent route? What advice or blueprint, breadcrumbs, no pun intended, would you give to somebody following your footsteps?
Yeah, I'd say there's maybe a couple answers to that. I would say like if it's somebody who's trying to be an MC, and they really want to take pride in the rhymes, I think freestyling is like the most helpful thing that you can do. Freestyle when you're in the shower, freestyle when you're in the car, just freestyle, because then the words that initially came to your mind at first, now you're going to be 3 words deep, and you don't even have to use that word anymore, because your vocabulary is growing and your rhymes are growing. and I think that'll translate into being a better writer. So that's what I would say if someone's trying to be a good rapper. I would say just independent artists. I think the grind is like it's what you put into it, right? So like there's no magic formula. Nobody's gonna put you on. It's up to you. So I think it's really important to work backwards sometimes. And like, so if I want this to be my release date, what needs to happen leading up to the release date? What do I want to do? Do I want to do videos? Do I want to do interviews? Whatever it may be, and then work backwards from there and say, okay, so on this Tuesday, I would like to drop that before the record comes out. A month before that, I'd like to do this. And then you can kind of see that. And then you can work backwards from there and say, okay, now I need to shoot these videos. So now I got to work with a director or a videographer, whatever I got to do to get up to this point. So you really got to like, you still got to handle your business. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just music. Hey, I'm an indie artist. I get to do whatever I want. You can do that. You just probably won't see a lot of fruit come from that. So, you know, it's still a job. And so you got to put in the work, you know, to see the results. And I would say, I think it's really important to own your image. I think some people would say your brand, but I hate that. I hate that thinking in that phrase, but it's essentially kind of is that, right? Like, how do you want to be represented? It's really easy to put out a music video. Like, I could just hire somebody and put out a music video, but it may look like I just hired somebody real quick and put out a music video. So if that's cool with you, then that's cool. If you want to just get it out there, that's cool. If you want to make like art, you know what I'm saying, then you might hold off on some of that stuff and say, I know I could put this out really quickly and everything in me wants to just do this really quickly, but I want this to look and feel the way that I want this to be represented. So maybe wait on some of that stuff and be smart on some of it. Don't always have to be like in a huge hurry.
What's the last show you binge watched?
Oh man, me and my son just watched Stranger Things.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one. You watch Stranger Things, SP?
No.
Oh,
Do people die in it?
yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why I haven't watched it.
So
That
it's
sits
good.
on my psyche too bad. I can't watch. I watched The Wizard of Oz and flying monkeys chased me for like 2 months in my dream. So now I just rom-coms and that's it.
No horror for SP.
I only put on a rom-com if I'm trying to fall asleep, though. Those are not my style.
And anything else, I will have the worst nightmares ever. Tell me something you're bad at.
Something I'm bad at. I mean, I can go back and forth on certain things.
Keep it PG.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I'm not good at discipline all the time. Like, maybe a better way to say that is I'm not good at like consistent discipline. Like when I'm on it, I'm freaking on it and I'm so focused. But then, you know, that'll go away and you got to get back on it, right? So, but one thing that's crazy that I've learned is that for me personally, I don't know if everybody's like this, but like if I slack in one area that I'm trying to be disciplined in, it crumbles in all the other areas from there. So like there's no like being disciplined here, but all this isn't. It's like if I'm not, I'm not. Like it just crumbles to pieces and I gotta just but when you are disciplined and you're really on it, it's crazy how the other areas of your life stay on it as well, right? Like you guys are that way too.
No.
Facts. It's facts. Exactly. Thanks for being honest, SP.
I work a whole lot better under pressure, and I love organized chaos.
Organized confusion.
I live in organized chaos. That's why Morgan's here.
I gotta keep them on. I gotta keep them on straight and narrow. Keep them
To order
on.
the disorder. Yeah.
Yeah,
Order the disorder.
if her Neville was not around, I would probably would know shit from Shinola, to just be completely honest.
All right. These questions are sort of like rapid fire questions. So like and they're kind of random. So like, what's the first thing you do in the morning after you get up?
After I get up,
Yeah.
drink some water.
All right. What's something you're most proud of?
My son being a dad.
Of course. And if they made a movie about your life, who would you choose to play you?
Jeff Bridges, The Big Lebowski.
There you go. Do you perform concerts in the shower?
Not concerts, but I definitely freestyle.
All right. And when would you say you're the most productive?
After coffee.
I feel that. And then if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? No stipulations, anywhere.
Probably Africa.
Why?
I think there's something to that. I think that everybody's from there, and I think that there's something deep to that, and I think that I think it would probably would feel at home. I think there's some peace that would be there.
If what's your dream place to perform?
I think any of those like super huge festivals would be sick. Like, and there's a handful of them. I think any of those ones where like, you just see tons of people like that would be so fresh to rock a place like that.
Who would you have there with you? Like other acts or other?
Oh man. I mean, that's tricky because like on one hand, I would want to play with like the people who would probably be headlining those places. But on the other hand, if I had any sort of a say so and I was in front of that crowd, I would just bring my homies and just put all my homies on, and just be like, yo, we're all rocking tonight.
SP, I'd be out there, wouldn't you, SP?
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat. Except I don't do crowds and people stink. After 3 or 4 days and not bathing, that's be way too much for.
Yeah.
That'd be way too. Go take a bath. Did you brush your teeth?
Oh, you're funny.
What's your deepest fear?
Oh man, I don't have a lot of fears, man. I do think sometimes though, like when I watch a movie and like somebody's like in a coffin or something buried alive, like that is freaky. And then recently I saw something where like somebody got stuck in a water slide at a water park.
Oh.
Yeah, and that made me feel like, I didn't really know that about myself until I heard that. And then I was like, oh, that sounds, I don't know if I could do that. So
sound kind of claustrophobic. A little claustrophobic for you.
Yeah, I never really felt claustrophobic, but those are definitely claustrophobic
situations. Yeah, like you'd be like, no, I'll pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was walking past the living room and they were watching something called FBI International, and some dude threw like a Molotov cocktail on some dude in a car and rolled the windows up, and I was like,
Right.
I'm like, I could never. That would be. That's horrifying to me.
Right, like it's almost like it's not something, a situation you would normally, like you said, you would normally think about. Like, you're looking at it, be like, nah, that wouldn't happen. And then it happens. You're like, okay, now I'm I never imagined that'd be something that I would be scared of, but here we
Right.
are.
Yeah.
So, what do you want your legacy to be? Not just as a musician, but as a man.
Well, I think some of that is probably lived out through your kids, right? So like your kids can be your legacy, I think. Um, but I think just love is a big deal, like showing love. Um, so I want that to be a real thing, not just with words, but like with the way that I live, that love is in it. And I think there's something to be said about being able to look back and really being honest with yourself. Like, I know when I look in the mirror, can I be real with myself, like really real, right? And not fake and not do something for people to think this or that. Like, I know me, if I'm honest with me, and being able to be cool with that, right? Like honestly say, like, yeah, I'm cool with what I did. And I think probably the biggest thing would be like, looking back, did I make the most out of what I had or out of what I was given? Um, that's something that I learned from hip hop early on, and it's in so many other places of my life, even beyond hip hop. But I learned that lesson from hip hop, and so I think that's an important thing. Some people are given a lot right from the jump, and some people aren't given anything. So, did you make the most out of what you have?
Yeah.
And the name of the show is Powerful Impact. So, who are the three people who provided a powerful impact for you, either personally or professionally?
Hmm. Um, my grandmother, she she was a missionary for a while, and so like just seeing how much she gave up, like financially, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, like with her comfort, to go do what she felt like she was called to do. Um, I noticed that as a kid, and I definitely think that that's affected the way I look at things. So I think that's been a powerful impact. Um, my dad, for sure, like just typical father son stuff, and just seeing how he would relate to people and how he acted and was able to like communicate with people and stuff. Like, I didn't have that. Like I said, I've always kind of been a chill, like, I don't know. But my dad was good at that. So I kind of learned those lessons from my dad of like how to interact with people and not just be so clamored up to yourself, but like, open up, and that goes into, showing love to people too. Like, it's kind of hard to show love to people if you're always keeping to yourself. You got to rub elbows with people and figure out what they need, and hopefully rub some love on them. I'd say a third one is kind of tough. I think if I had more time to think about it, I'd have better answers. But you mentioned earlier Propaganda on that Hell No song, and he's been a big impact on my life. Like, just because I know he came up how I did as a battle MC, and I know that he's a God-fearing man, and I can see like what he's got going on like everybody else sees it. But because I know him, I can see behind the curtain, and I see he's the same dude, and he's like a good dude who like genuinely cares about people. And um, yeah, I'd say him. I want to be more like all three of those people.
That's dope. It's um it's been a pleasure to have you on. I've been so looking forward to this. I think I had this big fangirl moment when you hit me in the DMs about the review, and I was like, I've been talking about him
Yeah, that's why I hit you up, because you were so nice in that review, and he was definitely saying like, yeah, I never heard of Krum before, and I'm glad that you showed me this album, because whatever. And then you were like, yeah, I figured if I didn't put it out here, nobody was gonna listen to it, so I need. So I was like, man, that's so cool of you to do, like, to not only like the music, but to be able to use your platform to specifically put it in front of other people so that they can check it. And then for you to give such a dope cosign, I was like, man, I gotta hit her up and say thank you. So yeah, I had to like go scour through the internet like a creep. I was like, all right, I gotta find her name, then I gotta follow her, and then I gotta send the DM. Like, yeah, it was a whole thing.
It always delights me when I can introduce somebody to new music and actually support independent artists, because hip hop has given me so much. I just want to be able to give back at least a little of what it's given me in my life.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Yeah, we gotta have people like you. Artists have to have people like you. So thank you for having me on. Pleasure's all mine.
Well, I'm going down the list of everybody who featured on your album, so just let them know that it's going to
She's
be
coming. She's
this
coming for
strange
'em.
woman's going to be hitting your emails as soon as she finds them.
You're gonna hear some gems. Those are some of the best MCs alive.
She's going to be hitting your emails as soon as she finds out how to get in touch with you, because I have nothing else. I'm tenacious, so I will find them.
I'll vouch for you.
And meticulous.
Yeah. I just thank you so much for coming on. I hope you come back on again when you drop your next project. I can't wait. I'm so enthused about you as an artist. I hope everybody who watches this goes and checks out your album. Don't just check it out. Don't just Spotify it. Go to Bandcamp. Purchase it. You
Cop that.
already missed out on the book. Don't miss out on everything else.
Any shout outs that you have, Krum, or anything you want to promote at this time? And we'll put the links down below.
I mean, what you said was great. Go to Bandcamp. What I think is cool too that some people do is, obviously Bandcamp isn't the most convenient for the way that we're living, right? Like, we got these digital streaming platforms on our phone. That's how a lot of us listen to music. Totally cool, because it's convenient. So what I think is cool, what some of my fans do, they'll go buy it on Bandcamp to support so that they own it. But then when they want to listen to it, they'll just still use the streaming platforms. Yep. And that's cool too, because you can kind of double up. I mean, it's not like we're getting a lot of money from streaming platforms, but at least a stream is a stream. So that's cool. So yeah, krum.bandcamp.com is where you can find all my stuff. And then, you guys can hit me up on social media. Twitter is I am Krum. Instagram is Krum Official. Or you can just holler at your mama. She got all my info.
Yeah, I used to buy all the albums on Apple. I have no earthly idea how Apple works. I have all of these albums I bought. No shitting idea how to get to any of them.
Oh, you have an Android?
Yes.
Oh, you bugging. And it's funny. This is the thing. I wanted to say something about that damn Bandcamp, because I have an iPhone. And I know that I have to, like, through Bandcamp, I used to have to go through my iTunes. It was some complicated, convoluted process. Now I don't even mess around with that. So Bandcamp, that's the one issue I have when it comes to buying digital things on Bandcamp. I have a problem moving it. I know, but it doesn't move to iTunes. It does.
I download it. Okay. I download it onto my computer and then then I upload it to YouTube Music, and then I can listen to it on my phone.
See, that's the thing. I can't do all that. So only reason I go to Bandcamp is like if Krum has the book, the CD, vinyl, I'm gonna buy it directly. That's when I'm going to Bandcamp. But when it comes to digital, that Bandcamp gets confusing on the iPhone because that all that that. Sorry.
For me personally, when it's a I want to support, I usually buy it on Bandcamp, and then to be honest with you, I never open that email. Like the email they send you with the download link, I don't even, most of the time, I'm just doing it to support. But when I listen to it, I'm still going like to the streaming platforms to listen that way. So really for me, the purchase off Bandcamp, it doesn't even have to be practical. It's like strictly to say, yeah, I own it. I bought it.
And
I think,
oh, sorry, I was going to ask, do the artists get most of the proceeds, even from digital, or is it more when we buy physicals on Bandcamp?
Oh, yeah. Bandcamp gives you, depending on what amount of sales you've done with them in the past, will dictate like the percentage that you get. But it's awesome. You get the majority of the money for sure.
Yeah, sonically, Tidal still has the best streaming service. Just FYI, as far as just listening.
I've heard that.
You think it sounds better than Bandcamp?
Well, Bandcamp isn't a streaming platform.
Okay, so Bandcamp has wider bandwidth per like it's not as compressed, right?
Bandcamp you can download actual like WAV files. But that's kind of what Morgan was saying. Like you have to put that on your computer and then do something to listen to it after that.
Mm-hmm.
SP is talking about like just the streaming platform. So as far as like, Apple, Spotify,
Tidal.
Pandora, whatever, Tidal has the best quality sound.
Streaming. And then when I buy, I'm sorry to ask all these tech questions. Last one. With iTunes, when I'm purchasing an Apple song on iTunes, is that a wide bandwidth or is that not? It comes out the same like streaming bandwidth size. I don't know.
It's definitely not going to be. It's not going to be great.
All right, so buy Bandcamp, period, is what he's saying, and go to Tidal if I want to stream. Right.
That's what I don't have Tidal, but I've definitely heard that. So everything SP said,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard others say that too.
And you're on Tidal too, right, Krum? You're on everything. You're on Tidal as well.
Yeah, okay. Everything. Yep.
All right. Did we have anything else?
SP, close out.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for watching Powaful Impact. You can follow, like, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you can see what's coming up next. Make sure you check out all of Krum's music. I'm going to put all of the links in the description. And be kind to somebody. Be kind to somebody this week.
Spread love, like Krum said. And Krum went out there and made a powerful impact. We're coming out here making a powerful impact. You go out there and figure out how to make a powerful impact. Boom!
All right, Powaful Impact out. Peace.
Peace. Thanks for having me, y'all. Powaful Impact. Boom from the